You know that feeling of optimism when you carry your egg basket down to the chicken coop, only to be met with a lot of clucking and not even an egg to be seen? Indeed, the mornings were quite harsh. Your chickens seemed to have taken an unexpected vacation. You're not alone, I assure you. Experienced farmers also face this challenge. Getting chickens to cooperate can sometimes be like trying to persuade a cat to take a bath, as they can be as erratic as teenagers. One of the primary causes of an unexpected drought of eggs? Less hours of daylight. Like little solar panels made of feathers, chickens depend on sunshine to produce eggs. It's as if their internal egg factory takes a vacation when winter arrives and the days grow shorter. Then there's molting, which is their yearly practice of dropping feathers in preparation for a seasonal fashion presentation. Laying eggs takes a back seat while they're busy getting their new outfits. With feathers flying everywhere, it's similar to a month-long spa vacation. What's the kicker? They all molt simultaneously, leaving you with an eruption of feathers and no eggs. Not only that, but hens have a startling amount of environmental discrimination. They may become distracted by a squeaking coop door, overloaded nesting boxes, or even the barking of a neighbor's dog. Once, until I replaced a creaky hinge, my hen would not lay. After 2 days, the eggs began to come in once more. How could a chicken have such high expectations? Then there is the cuisine. I discovered the hard way that feeding hens involves more than just throwing out trash and crossing your fingers. I thought it may help if I doubled up on corn one winter. Rather than laying more eggs, my hens simply became fatter and more lazy. In a sense, they went into hibernation. Conversely, during molting season, I gave them more mealworms, and all of a sudden, they were running to the nesting boxes as if they had a deadline. It turns out that the secret to contented, productive hens is protein. The problem is that chickens require a diet that is properly balanced. They become lethargic and less likely to lay if they consume too many carbohydrates, such as bread or corn. Consider this. You wouldn't feel like accomplishing anything either if all you ate was pasta and cakes. The same is true with chickens. They get their energy from carbs, but they can't produce eggs if they don't get enough protein and minerals. Like overfed humans after Thanksgiving dinner, overweight hens aren't in the mood to do much, least of all lay eggs. I gave them all kinds of food leftovers when I first started raising chickens because I felt like I was being generous. The hens appeared ecstatic, and it felt wonderful to avoid waste. Then, however, egg production fell off. It took me much too long to discover that I had been giving them too many carbohydrates. The eggs began to come in again after I reduced and concentrated on feeding them protein-rich food. The lesson is that hens require high-quality gasoline, not just any fuel. It's all about balance. Although they burn more calories remaining warm in the winter, a small amount of maize is acceptable, but it shouldn't make up the majority of their diet. Remember grit, the little stones that chickens swallow to aid in their food digestion. All of the grains, seeds, and scraps are wasted if there is no grit. It's similar to filling up your automobile with premium gas but neglecting to start the engine. Your chickens will quickly return to laying eggs, vibrant and productive, rather than slouching around like feathery blobs, if they are fed the correct food and have healthy digestion. You'll soon have more eggs than you can handle if you maintain a healthy diet, a calm atmosphere, and gizzards full of grit. Unbelievably, the key to a consistent supply of eggs is rocks? Rocks indeed, but grit, not just any rocks. There's a trick to it too. Grit is not all the same. Insoluble grit, which are microscopic stones that remain in a chicken's gizzard and aid in grinding up food meal after meal, is essential to the Amish, who have mastered the art of caring for chickens. Using oyster shells as grit is a beginner error made by some novice chicken caretakers. Oyster shells are excellent sources of calcium, but they don't serve the same purpose as grit because they dissolve over time. To entirely misunderstand the point, it would be like substituting toothpaste for coffee in the morning because both come in tubes. I can still clearly recall the first time I introduced grit to my flock. The hens gazed at those tiny pebbles as if I had gone crazy, but the transformation became evident in a few days. Their energy levels skyrocketed, they weren't wasting their food, and soon the eggs started to arrive. Thanks to a few rocks I nearly missed, it was like turning on a switch. Your hens will typically find their own grit in the wild if they are allowed to roam freely. However, it is your responsibility to provide for them, whether they are caged up for the winter or stranded indoors due to inclement weather. In this area, the Amish excel, attending to even the slightest things, such as ensuring that their hens always have access to grit. They know that a healthy digestive system produces more eggs, which means fewer mornings without omelets. Let me share something special while we're discussing necessities. We only advertise one thing on our channel: a book written by seasoned prepper Claude Davis about 126 superfoods and preservation methods from times of distress, such as the Great Depression. If we don't teach these timeless abilities to the next generation, they may be lost. Links to this book and more can be found in the video descriptions if you're watching this on TV. On your phone or tablet, search for our channel, Finest Mind. Back to the hens now. Like humans, chickens require a healthy diet in order to remain productive. The Amish are well aware of this. The hens may be temporarily pleased if you toss them scraps or extra corn, but your basket won't be full with eggs. They concentrate on nutrient-dense, natural vitamins that you may already have in your cupboard. For example, consider apple cider vinegar ACV. You can keep your chickens hydrated, help them digest, and prevent diseases that could affect their ability to produce eggs with just a tablespoon per gallon of water. It's similar to administering a health tonic to your chickens. The results were amazing. My flock's egg production increased practically immediately after I began adding ACV to their water. Next up is garlic. Adding a clove or two to their diet can strengthen their defenses against parasites. My chickens ate garlic like they were preparing for an Italian feast, which surprised me because I expected they would turn their beaks up, munch it. Since then, the coop has been free of parasites and vampires. Additionally, don't forget about herbs like parsley, thyme, and oregano. These antioxidant-rich herbs support the health and productivity of chickens. According to some Amish farmers, parsley may even stimulate hens to produce more eggs. I'll admit that after snacking on parsley, my chickens strutted around like gourmet critics, albeit I can't verify that. It goes without saying that protein is essential for regular laying. The Amish employ natural goodies like mealworms, black soldier fly larvae, or even cooked eggs to increase protein levels during the molting season, when hens are more concerned with developing new feathers than laying eggs. Feeding eggs to a chicken may sound strange, but believe me, it works. Once, I scrambled some extra eggs for my flock, and they gobbled them up like Halloween candy. The foundation of any hen's diet is layer feed, which has 16 to 18% protein, but the Amish go above and beyond. Throughout the year, they modify the feed according to the needs of the flock. That extra protein is crucial while hens are molting and resemble unkempt pillows rather than productive birds. Ultimately, the process of producing eggs is a formula rather than a magic trick. Your chickens will contribute if you feed them well and maintain their health. Just healthy eating and attention, no tricks or fast cuts. And let's face it, nothing is more fulfilling than watching those eggs accumulate and realizing that you've figured out how to raise contented, productive chickens. My chickens began laying again before I knew it, and I didn't even need to introduce them to inspirational podcasts. It's amazing how the Amish managed to do this without using pricey, mass-produced protein supplements. They only use natural regional ingredients, such as leftover dairy products, vegetable scraps, and extra greens. It's fair game as long as it keeps garbage at bay and feeds the hens. Speaking of greens, I'm positive that when I give my hens kale or clover, they produce better eggs. Those colorful yolks feel like a win, whether that's due to science or my imagination. It turns out that variety is essential. Chickens become wary of the same old food just like humans do. This is where black oil sunflower seeds, a superfood high in protein that chickens adore, come in. After witnessing my hens go crazy for sunflower seeds, I believe an Amish farmer once told me that chickens need surprises in their diet, just like people. Balance, of course, is crucial. When I overindulged in mealworms one winter, I discovered the hard way that chickens who consume too much protein, or treats of any kind, can become lethargic and overweight, which doesn't exactly scream egg-laying machine. I ended up with plump hens that waddled around like feathery divas instead of more eggs. The golden guideline is moderation, even when dealing with issues. Even in the thick of winter, Egg production remains constant due to this delicate balancing act, which includes modifying for molting, varying treats, and keeping an eye on diet. Shovel feed and hope for the best is not the Amish way of life. It involves closely monitoring the needs of chickens at all times. No matter the season, when you do it correctly, those eggs keep coming in. Let's discuss snacks. The way Amish farmers care for their hens is similar to how grandparents care for their grandchildren. Just enough to keep them content, but not enough to destroy their appetite. First on the list are the greens, lettuce, spinach, and kale thrown into the coop like confetti. Packed with nutrition, these green treats help keep chickens healthy and productive. It's easy, but it works. Happy hens, nutritious eggs, and fewer trips to the feed store. One farmer told me, if you want eggs, feed them greens like it's a garden party. Then there is the fruit. Berries and apples are the ideal summertime treats since they are hydrating, refreshing, and, when had in moderation, hen energizing. But take it easy. One July, following a watermelon frenzy, I discovered this lesson. My chickens spent a whole day ignoring their nesting boxes because they were too occupied nibbling through the tasty mess. Lesson learned. After dessert, even hens know how to relax. The unexpected MPV of desserts? Pumpkin. The birds enjoy it when Amish farmers split open pumpkins for their chickens every fall. Better yet, as winter draws near, pumpkin serves as a natural dewormer, maintaining the flock's health. It's funny and strangely fulfilling to watch a group of hens eat a pumpkin. It's like a little fall celebration in the coop. Naturally, a healthy diet cannot be replaced by these delights. Snacks are used by Amish farmers to supplement, not to replace, the necessities. Just like you wouldn't give a child chocolates before supper, they are aware that they shouldn't overindulge their flock. There will be fewer eggs in the basket if a hen who is addicted to goodies turns her beak up during routine feeding. Treats, however, can affect the game when done correctly. More eggs, healthier eggs, and chickens who strut around as if they realize they're doing a fantastic job are the outcomes that are visible in the nest box. You may make your hens permanent egg-laying experts who are prepared to take on their work all year round with a little diversity, seasonal munchies, and wise decisions. Amish farmers handle the process with dignity and pragmatism when it comes time for their feathered women to clock out. Generally speaking, a prolific hen will lay regularly for 2 to 3 years. Their production then decreases, going from 5 eggs per week to perhaps 1 or none at all. It's just biology, it's not personal. The Amish don't waste anything, but they also don't operate a retirement community for hens. All hens, regardless of age, have a part to play. To maintain efficiency, they switch in younger hens as egg output starts to wane. It's similar like determining when to retire an old car, both necessary and practical. However, the elderly hens don't simply disappear. They frequently end up in a pot of soup, giving the farm one last present. Mildred, one of my chickens, quit producing eggs and instead spent her days walking about as if she owned the house. Let's say she made up for it when I turned her into broth, even if she was no longer making her keep. It felt like a cozy embrace right out of a farmhouse kitchen, since the soup was so tasty and creamy. It's a method of respecting the bird while preserving a well-rounded, productive agricultural life. It's not callous. The flock's health is also at risk from older hens. They are more likely to get sick as they get older, which might stress out the younger birds. And hens under stress? Don't worry about eggs. The Amish make sure their flock remains healthy and productive all year long by phasing out the older hens and introducing new ones gradually. The rotating method keeps everyone in their proper place without drama or guilt, and it operates like clockwork. Despite their unassuming appearance, chickens have demands, particularly when it comes to where they lay their eggs. A filthy coop? The answer is no. Amish farmers constantly replace the bedding and wipe away the droppings in their coops, treating them like 5-star hotels. And maintaining order isn't the only goal. Healthy hens produce more eggs, and clean coops produce healthier hens. Hens may cease laying completely if the nesting place becomes excessively unclean. Believe me, I had to learn this the hard way. The chickens informed me that they weren't impressed when I left my coop alone for a few weeks. They resumed laying eggs as if I had gotten a 5-star review after giving it a thorough cleaning and adding some fresh pine shavings. It turns out that chickens are similar to house guests in that you need to keep your home tidy if you want them to stay. The Amish replace bedding in their coops before they become wet or unclean because they take coop upkeep seriously. Bacteria and parasites can be drawn to damp environments, which can rapidly cause a chain reaction of disease in the flock. Frequent cleaning eliminates those threats right away. Every egg that is laid later makes the little extra effort worthwhile. My granny once gave me that look she saves for slick kitchens and sticky countertops after noticing how bad my coop was. When I cleaned up, the hens were laying like it was their full-time work, as she had stated. Clean it up, and they'll start earning their keep. What's the story's lesson? When in doubt, think like your grandmother. Even though winter presents additional difficulties, Amish farmers have figured it out. Their secret weapons are nutritious food, sheltered coops, and warm beds. Keeping the eggs coming in is more important than simply keeping the birds warm. Hens must burn more calories in cold weather simply to stay warm, which can reduce their output if they aren't fed enough. The Amish provide nutrient-dense, high-protein, high-fat diets to counteract this. Even in frigid temperatures, hens are more likely to continue laying regularly when fed higher-fat grains and kitchen trash. It's similar to providing your hens with a winter survival kit because contented hens ensure that there will never be a scarcity of eggs, even in the coldest months. I would most likely be an expert egg layer as well if I received additional treats each time it snowed. I would be all over this life if I were a chicken. But hold on, there's more. Amish farmers are prepared for the difficulties that come with winter. It may surprise you to learn that chickens need a little more light throughout the winter. Some Amish farmers place their coops to capture every ray of sunlight since they depend on it. Others fool the chickens into believing it is still sunny summer by using light bulbs that simulate daylight. Without having to pay for airfare, it's like taking your hens on a tropical vacation. Naturally, if your chickens are stressed or unhappy, no amount of light will help. On a chilly morning, the chickens would prefer to remain warm in their comfortable bedding than go outside. That is the area in which Amish wisdom excels. Not only is a tidy, clutter-free coop desirable, but it's also essential. It keeps chickens comfortable, reduces sickness, and frees them up to concentrate on what they do best: lay eggs. Let's now discuss molting, the yearly makeover season for hens. Hens shed their old feathers to grow new ones every year, much like clockwork. There is a caveat to this essential procedure: no eggs until the makeover is finished. They use it to express the idea that beauty comes before business. Amish farmers don't just sit back and wait, they actively participate in this natural cycle. Rather, during molting season, they increase the amount of protein in their hens' diets. The equivalent of fine dining for chickens are special goodies like mealworms or larvae of black soldier flies. By accelerating the molting process, this protein increase enables those hens to resume their activities sooner. I will always remember my first season of molting. It appeared as though a pillow fight had broken out in the coop when my entire flock started to molt all at once. It was chaos, with feathers all over the place and no eggs in the basket. I didn't find it funny, but my kids did. I learned a valuable lesson about timing from that incident. To go one step further, the Amish stagger the molting process. They make sure that some chickens continue to lay, while others are occupied with regrowing their feathers. When one hen completes her break, another takes over, much like in a relay race. This ingenious tactic maintains consistent egg production throughout the year. As the chickens shed their worn-out, tattered feathers and emerge feeling rejuvenated and beautiful, molting is like a spa day for them. There will undoubtedly be a brief egg shortage, but patience will pay off. You can bet that the before and after photos of hens would brighten your feed throughout the winter if they had Instagram. In addition to molting, stress management is essential for egg production. If your workstation was disorganized and someone was shouting in your ear, would you still want to work on a challenging project? The same is true with hens. Amish farmers are aware of this and provide their flocks with calm surroundings. Each hen receives a comfortable nesting box, noise levels are minimized, and overpopulation is prevented. When I enlarged my coop, I discovered this lesson personally. My chickens used to be tense and claustrophobic. It seemed as though they had unearthed a secret egg-laying talent after the improvement. Their output increased dramatically in a few days. As it happens, hens like their privacy just as much as humans do. Fun fact, contented hens can lay up to 30% more eggs than their anxious counterparts. That should be enough to keep your chickens happy. A calm atmosphere is important, but it's not the sole factor. Consistent egg production also depends on a well-balanced diet high in minerals and protein. Because they know that contented, healthy chickens produce more, Amish farmers closely monitor the ingredients in the feed that their hens receive. It's about careful, regular care, not about expensive supplements or rapid remedies. Even in the most severe winters, Amish farmers can keep their hens laying because to their techniques. I must be doing something right if my hens can lay eggs during snowstorms without the need for costly accessories or energy. Or perhaps the Amish have truly figured out the secret to eggs in life. In any case, let's give these industrious farmers and their feathered friends a round of applause. Cheers to a consistent, abundant supply of eggs.